Bonjour. Hello, Haru. Yeah, game is here. Uh, yeah, we just met with, this. We just realized that this guy was the serial eater. Which, in other words, in this stream means the criminal. So, we need to be careful with this guy. And I think we're supposed to, waste time so he does not have time to cause more trouble and he can be arrested quickly. We need to give time to our friend to do something. Our detective friend. Anyway, I switch back to Ryota's call and unmute. He chuckles lightly. If you just asked the police for help, I wouldn't count on it. You don't know a thing, do you? I know you're the eater. That's a pretty good start. Hey, eater is such a harsh term. I like to call myself an artiste with the E. He chuckles again, but this time it comes with a pinch of shrillness that wasn't there before. My foreboding only skyrockets. Just what kind of insanity has he been hiding? So, hung up the call. Now what? Quite simply, the fun begins. Come to my playboy. I've been setting the stage. This just confirms my fears. For some reason, Ryota's been preparing to eat me. Maybe I'm the next one on his list. No, I can't let this shake me. I have to stay strong. Talk normally. You've done it before. Oh. The false bravado of a man in love. I know it well. Did I really sound like that? I wonder. It's so terribly stupid. Nah, this dude is creepy. He really is! Haha! He really is indeed. Hello! Are you going to answer my question or are you just going to wax more poetry? Poetry is by far the more interesting option, don't you think? Only for people with too much time on their hands. And that is the eternal problem, boy, for the both of us. We each have too much time on our hands. Far, far too much. Doesn't life just get so dull? Every hour passing drearily, like a never-ending group project where all you want to do is end your classmates. That's what life is. How do you ease your boredom, I wonder? Television? Social media? No. You do neither. Sleep? Thanks, Shakespeare, but I think my life is my own business. I look forward to stripping that sense of righteous anger within you and replacing it with terror. I look forward to you trying. Ah, I love the ones that fight back. Just makes their decent all the more satisfying. I'm so confused what that was. Decent. Sorry. Just makes their descent all the more satisfying. Before I can respond, he plows on, his voice gradually rising in pitch. Now, let's set the stage, shall we? I thought you were taking care of that. Oh, don't worry. I'll be taking care of all the props. Do you hear me, boy? Don't bring any extra props. That thought never crossed my mind. Leave your phone and any police toys at the entrance. I'll see you if you try to smuggle something into the theater, understand? He absolutely is. Is that it? Not quite. Why you're so hasty to end the call? Am I boring you? Sure, let's go with that. Then get straight to the point. There is a brief moment of silence, punctuated only by the faint tones of Ryota punching numbers into his phone. Then I hear a voice. Yama! Yama! Don't you dare do anything stupid! Nothing hits me, but it's like all the breath that has been sucked out of my lungs. Rui? Stay there! Don't come! I wordlessly open and close my mouth, desperately searching for words. My mind only runs blank. I'm sure you're already aware of this, but right now, I am the master of Rui's fate. So, you might want to stay on my good side. This is how it's going to happen. You come to the back of the school, you know, the garbage truck route. You're going to dump all your toys. Then I'll let you in. How? There's no entrance. Why is it that you all say the same thing? Boring. Where there is a will, boy, there is a way. So, that's it then? Well, actually, I feel like I should tell you this. Just out of the kindness of my heart. What heart? My mom added some sounds to the background to make it more lively. Rui won't be there for insurance purposes. I'm sure you understand. My fingers clamp in a dead grip on my phone. What do you mean Rui won't be there? Hush, child. Why are you so impatient? Right now, Rui is in the safe hands of a third party, so long as you listen to my words. So, we meet up, have a little chat, and I let Rui go. Everyone gets their happy ending, except the police, who will, you know, they don't do anything anyway. A beautiful arrangement, no? Speak now or forever hold your peace. I grind my teeth and force a long, slow breath. If I go, I won't be able to see Rui with my own eyes. She could be anywhere. Even when Shigure comes, we won't be able to find her. But am I really in a position to be making demands? Oh no! Ah! He dangerous. It's hard. Uh. Um. Let's save and return. Yeah. Okay, how do I? No. Where do I go? How do I? Maybe I just. Okay. Sorry, I was lost. You're a serial eater? No, I don't think you're an actual serial eater, like the way we call them here. Refuse. No. If I can't see Rui, then this entire ordeal is pointless. I have to take this risk. You know me better than that, Ryota. I have to see Rui with my own two eyes. Who knows? You could be lying. You could end her before I show up. I'm wounded. Do you really think I would do something so cliché? Well, I didn't think you would be a serial eater, but here we are. Forgive me for not taking chances. Fair enough, boy. I'll play along. She'll be here by the time you arrive. I'll even let you see her before you enter the school. That was oddly, even very oddly agreeable of him. Enough to make me feel as though I've walked straight into a setup. Then, boy, is that all? Time passes ever on. Can I get anything more from him? Right now, the situation still seems grim. Uh... Okay, maybe that's not good. He still seems to say it's not good. So... let's reject again. I'd also like for Rui to be untied. So she can run away. As if you wouldn't be able to chase her down. Playing hard to get, aren't we? Fine. Because I'm so very magnanimous. I accept. Would your highness also like a pony? Any new terms stack the odds more in my favor, but I'm not currently in the position of power. If I push too hard, everything could go south. I think at this point I should accept. I mean, yeah, okay. Accept. I think he's hinting that we need to do that. It's real.
No. If I'm honest, there's not a whole lot more I can ask without making requests seem downright ridiculous to Ryota. Ri's going to be there. I'm going to see her. The police will know where I am. This is the most I can ask for. The back of the school, then. I'll give you 15 minutes. I'm coming from the subway station. Then you'd better run. Ta-ta. And that's the last thing he says before he hangs up. Cool. Almost blankly, I stand in the middle of the subway platform, phone swinging loosely from the edge of my fingers. Then all of my muscles burst into action and I shoot out of the subway, legs pounding the pavement as fast as I can make them. My lungs start to burn as the cold night air cuts into my throat like knives, but I'm forced to ignore it. Stoplights in the cross sections warn me to stop, but when I see a gap between the incoming cars, I bolt across for my life. Engines roar by and horns belt in full volume. I'm certain that cars roll down their windows to call me crazy, scream that I'm an idiot, swear to call the police on me, but I don't care.
Oh, scary monster! I haven't seen you in forever! Hello!
They're coming back from a long work day, or from grabbing fast food around the corner, or picking up their kid from martial arts or cram school. Meanwhile, there's a girl hedged in the dark room, alone, her only company, a crazed eater who takes pleasure in the infliction of a long, extended agony. And yet, on they go, with fast food and martial arts and cram school. The world blurs by in a haze of bright, fluorescent color, until I finally grind to a halt at the entrance of the school. My heart feels as though it's slamming into my ribs, bruising itself until it bleeds. I'm forced to stop and lean against the gate, gulping desperately for air.
What game is that? It's Lucid9 uh inciting accident or something. I'm not sure. It's just written Lucid9.
13 minutes. I only had 2 left. I press my sleeve against the sweat coating my brow, allowing myself time for one more deep breath. Then I sprint around the perimeter of the school, stopping by the shady back area, where all the good kids stay clear of.
What happened to Lucid 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8? I don't have a clue. I've never found out about that.
Who's Lucid?
I don't know either.
Ground up cigarette butts lie scattered on the floor, and if I squint, I can catch the light gleam of empty needles in the grass. Well, maybe the school was a little less tidy than I first thought. As I near the trash bin, I notice a long, distinctly human-shaped figure leaning against the solid wall. Fine weather we're having. I expect a voice, but I don't expect the instinctive reaction that comes with it.
Maybe the game gonna say it's lucid time. Maybe.
My breath catches and my throat clogs, sending tears straight to my eyes. No matter how hard I try to keep them down. And Ryota steps into the moonlight, lips twisted into a lopsided grin. Out for a little night exercise?
Exercise? I can't read.
I try to speak, but no sound passes my lips. I know what he's doing. I know what this is. A power play. I'm sweaty, tired, disheveled, and likely very sleep deprived. Forcing me to run here only gave him more of an advantage. And there's nothing I can do about it. Now, removal of gadgets, if you may. Wordlessly, I reach into my pocket, until I remember. You said you'd show me Rui first. He only chuckles at this, not even a chuckle of amusement. It almost sounds giddy. Good, good! You're already learning how to play the game. He turns and points silently at the second floor of the classroom building. Most of it is shrouded in darkness. But just by the window, I catch a glint of. You saw, didn't you? So, phone? All I saw was orange hair. It could be a dupe. Sigh heavily. Ryota reaches for his phone and taps the screen a few times. He only has to wait a few seconds. Rui, your boyfriend is having some trust issues. Be a dear and look out the window. I stare at the building, forcing myself not to blink, half convinced that if I look away for a split second, I'll miss everything. The head of orange hair by the window turns slowly, revealing a distant pale face, muddled lightly by the distortion of the window. But without a doubt, it's Rui. I sigh breathlessly, instinctively, something that I can't stop in time. Ryota smiles triumphantly. Phone? I silently hand him my phone. Turn out your pockets, pants, and jacket. I do so. You're walking evenly, so I doubt you're carrying anything in your shoes or your underwear. Come in. We've wasted enough time. How? We're the back of the... But then he touches the wall, and part of it slides away, and suddenly there is a keypad. He jabs a sequence of 6 digits into the keypad, waits, and the wall slides open. It's nothing like one of those mysterious puzzles of ancient architecture in video games, where the whole wall rumbles apart, while the ground shakes and dust falls from the ceiling, and a magical passage is revealed. Simply put, a door-shaped part of the wall swings open, as if it was just a door painted to look like the wall. Except the texture is somehow exactly the same. It's quiet. It's understated, and I would have never guessed in a million years that it was there. Ryota clocks my shock and only grins in response. Let me tell you something, kid. The janitor has to get in and out somehow to dump his trash. Now, smooth little schools like this, they love to give the illusion that they're perfectly protected. Impenetrable walls in every direction, the only gate supervised by a card reader and cameras. But, functionally speaking, you think that the janitor is going to walk out the gates all the way around the school, dump, go back all the way around and through the gates? Of course not. That's sheer nonsense. Sheer nonsense. Something on the level of presuming that the janitor took everything to the land of missing socks. I knew that there had to be another way in, and well, it took some searching, but that's how I found it. Why hadn't I thought of something like that? Why did it have to be Ryota? If you're going to brag, don't expect a red carpet away from me. Award? I can't read. What I'm trying to tell you, kid, is that even the richest school in all of Isemu has a crappy security system. One man, outsmarted it. Just like this. To be fair, they probably weren't expecting a serial eater to be in their faculty. Sloppy work on their part. Let's go. The night isn't getting any younger, and nor am I. He turns and slides into the corridor, moving so fluidly that his head stays perfectly even over the ground.
Hello, Italian!
I then notice that his careful steps renders him virtually silent, like a predator hunting down a piece of injured prey. It's a simple matter of exiting the building, turning the corner, and entering the classroom complex. He leads me up the stairs to the second floor.
Yeah. Yeah, well, he can play too. It's not exactly a friend, it's a viewer that wanted to play Stardew Valley with me, so I added them on Steam.
The floor where I saw Rui. He pulls open the door, lifting an eyebrow at me. I only stare inside the dim gloom, suddenly filled with dread. Everything could be a trap. Rui could have been moved. Shigure could be lying. There are so many moving components to this encounter, so many potential things that could go completely wrong. I turn my gaze to Ryota, who only jerks his head at the door in a distinctly more impatient fashion. Impatience. I file this nugget into the back portion of my mind that's still miraculously working. Then, with one deep breath, I enter the classroom. Ryota follows straight behind me, announcing my appearance with a loud crow thing. And the delinquent arrives at last. He pushes up his sleeves, as if he's getting ready to work. Forward, tossing his keys and phone on top of the desk, probably in an effort to unburden himself for whatever he has planned. I stopped abruptly, my eyes roving frantically across the classroom, searching empty space. There! Huddled in the back corner of the room are three desolate figures, each tied firmly to their chairs. One of them, with streaks of orange hair shining softly in the scant moonlight, is Rui. For a moment, I see nothing else. My eyes fix on her and my throat closes. Happy? I shuffle forward, a choked whimper tearing out of my mouth before I can stop it. It's only after seeing her that the weight falls, that I realize how long it's been since we've last spoken, that I realize how much I missed her, that I remember what life was like without her. I brace my hands against the desk to keep myself from collapsing bonelessly to the ground, forcing slow and steady breaths into my lungs. Still alive, alive, and before my eyes. She screams something muffled against her gag and kicks the wall. The abrupt noise stops me in my tracks. Oh, it seems the damsel in distress wants to share some lovely little words. Clearly amused, he stands to his feet and swaggers over to the chairs. In one fluid motion, he flourishes something from the teacher's desk and holds it high in the air. A knife, serrated and sickly, the blade glinting coldly at the edges. I can't read. I said that already like 3 times at least. With a jolt of panic, I leap forward. Don't! He slices down. Time freezes. The tip of the knife whisks forward and over, straight towards Rui's skull, searing the air below in a tube. And at the last possible moment pulls back and neatly shreds the knot of her gag. The cloth flutters elegantly in the air, coming to rest on the linoleum below. I force a ragged breath as Rieta screeches. Oh, kid, the look on your face. Priceless. Priceless. I slump against the desk, my relief too great to allow room for anger. Instead, I stare at Rui, her eyes, her hair, the tip of her nose, letting the memorized image remind me of home. Comfort, teasing, loud Christmas dinners, and scented candles at the town festival. Whispered inside jokes, elbows in the ribs, playing make-believe like 2 idiots. Rui... What the heck are you thinking, Yama? Why would you come here? Her voice changes octaves. I don't know how to say this. With every syllable, and her eyes are full of tears. But despite her terror, she's only worrying about me. I clear my throat and croak something incomprehensible, then try again. You're okay. Yeah, but not for long! Why didn't you just stay home? Because I couldn't leave her to die. Because I had to do something. I guess I got lazy at being lazy. She snouts out a choked laugh, something almost frenetic, as if she didn't mean to laugh, but she couldn't help it. Well, that's a surprise. She sends me a weak smile. I turn to Ryota, who only smiles lazily in response. You see, I'm a good sport, so very accommodating. You won't find an executioner of my tier anywhere else in the world. Executioner? Executioners? And for purpose, executioners are, are given targets by other people. Is it possible to get any information out of him? Executioner? You mean a glorified hunting dog? So I say with an attempt in a cold, flat tone, but to my dismay, my voice cracks. Yeah, that's because it's a girl voicing you. This only seems to heighten Ryota's glee. Hunting? Oh no, hunting is meant for practical purposes. Hunting is for the meat, or to hide, or the money from sales. I like to think of myself as a gardener, pruning dead weight so the branches with actual promise can grow. My ID is my employer, my ego the employee. And don't think I don't know what you're doing. Scraping for time won't bring the police any closer, boy. Do you realize that you sound... No, no more provocations. It's time for school to begin its session.
Okay. He abruptly pawns the handle of his knife against his desk, blasting my ears with the sudden sound. My heart instinctively jumps into my throat. He snickers quietly at the shock that must be evident on my face. Welcome, class. Hate to see it, but you're now in a remedial session. Suffice to say, you've all screwed up in a big way, and it's my job to whip you back into shape. How I hate it, but someone in this snooty little elementary school has to smack the hands of the naughty ones. He suddenly whips to me, his eyes blazing fire, pointing the tip of his knife right at my chest. You! Why aren't you sitting down? I was just like, what is happening? Also, I missed seeing that, but it's okay. Pretend it was fine. I sit down, throat dry. Yay! Ryota's shoulders immediately relax. Good. That's exactly how I like it. Now, Shimoru, is it? Since you came in late, you get to be my special assistant. My body goes cold. My eyes immediately turn to the knife. Ryota, reading my intentions, chuckles. Oh, don't look so scared, boy. You'll help me discipline. Sounds like a much better position to be in, doesn't it? Relief courses through me, and I hate myself for it. I'll give you a little choice, boy. Listen carefully, because it's an important one. Each of us need to discipline someone else. That's a given. This is a remedial class after all. But I'll give you two fabulous options out of the goodness of my heart. Either my disciplinee will be darling little Rui, and yours will simply be that plastic class skeleton. Or both of us will work on those other two students. Other students? Since when? Where? Oh, right, the two strangers sitting by Rui. I looked to the back of the room, sizing up the three figures. The first is a girl, the second a boy. I don't recognize either of them, but they look young, maybe in their first year. They're speechless, but even from where I sit, I can see the sweat rolling from their temples and dripping onto their necks, and their knees are clearly shaking.
Both of them, absolutely terrified. Innocent bystanders, pulled into this sick, dastardly game. Louis is next to them. Unlike the others, she's completely still. Eerily so, like she's been turned into stone. But when I meet her gaze, I see nothing but tears of fear in her eyes. She's ungagged. In a different circumstance, she would have volunteered immediately in order to save the other two students. She would have been brave and fiery and everything the world knows her for. I'm not sure I pronounced it right. The fact that she isn't saying a word tells me just how scared she is. My eyes drift back to Ryota, who only tilts his head. The knife twitches in his hand, and I suddenly piece everything together. He is a discipliner. I am a discipliner. Whatever he's planning on doing, I will have to copy. If he breaks bones, so must I. If he saws through limbs, so must I. And if I don't, then all of us will be eaten. Right here, right now. Because the only thing keeping him playing along is me. I could pick the class skeleton. I would only have to maim plastic, stop on plastic, break plastic. Everything would be safe. But then Rui would be in the hands of Ryota, and watching Rui get hurt, I don't think I could bear it. I came here to save her. Letting her die in Ryota's hands... No, there has to be a different way. But then what? The other two students? That's 2 lives instead of 1. 2 bodies instead of 1. Objectively, it's the worst decision in every way. Ryota knows this, because he knows me. Sometimes better than I know myself. Danged if I do, danged if I don't. The ultimate trade-off. I can't give up Rui. I just can't. But forcing 2 other students to suffer? Just who do I pick? Crap. This is bad. Man, I hate this.
Yeah, let's look at the guide. What this guy says. I'm going to drink some water while I'm trying to check that. Okay. The guide says 2 students. Ugh. I'm sorry, strangers.
I try to speak, but it comes out as a croak. Desperately, I clear my throat and try again. Let's work on 2 other students. Reactions are immediate. Ryota's face lights up in a manic smile. Rui's jaw drops. The other 2 students explode.
Is she mad? You idiot! You dang idiot! I can't believe you!
Please, please, don't hurt my sister. Don't hurt me. Oh gosh, this makes me freeze. Brother and sister? I silently watch as Ryota gleefully skips over to the chairs, dragging the 2 students over. Ri gasps breathlessly. Brother and sister, the cruelty will never end.
I swear if you lay one finger on my brother!
Ryota stops abruptly. The momentum throws the girl against her ropes, temporarily choking her into silence.
Ugh.
Isn't she just so darling? I picked her out specifically for you, boy. Did you? Oh yes. And she gets to be yours. My mind runs blank as the girl glares at me, hate burning clear in her eyes.
You're disgusting!
And I say nothing. It vaguely dawns on me that I should direct her anger at the serial eater, at the psychopath who orchestrated this entire thing. But can I really? They still had hope. Hope that they would go unscathed. That only one person would have to suffer other than 2. I crushed that hope. The last hope they ever had. And now they'll die for it. Agonizingly, with nothing but despair. Instead, my reply is automatic and empty. I'm sorry. I fully expect her to spit in my face, but she only turns her head away.
Hiso! Look at me! Look at me, Hiso!
The terrified boy locks her eyes with her, face doused in a mixture of tears and sweat.
You'll be okay! It'll be okay! Do you understand?
It won't be.
It'll be okay.
I look at Ryota, expecting him to slap her into silence, but he only leans against the wall, grinning like he's having the time of his life. Of course, he must be having a field day. The pleasure of pain brings him more joy than death itself. I get a sudden urge to laugh, but I don't know why.
Yeah, why in the world? You're so weird. Yama.
The airy voice from the corner reminds me of Rui's presence. She's staring quietly at the scene before her, face bleached white.
You're not going to hurt her, are you?
Guilt, terror, regret, anguish. We must both be feeling their full effects. Close your eyes, Rui. She stifles a quiet sob. I turn to Ryota. Now that everything's set up, I need you to untie Rui. You know I can't do anything to you while you still have that knifeu, and neither can she. And neither of us will leave the other person to die either. Only because you're the teacher's pet, boy. He stalks over to Rui's chair and cleanly slices at her bones. She promptly clasps her hands together, breathing deeply. Don't run, Rui. It'll hurt both of us.
I won't.
I turn back to Ryota, hands sweaty against the fabric of my jacket. So, what are the rules of the game? Oh, it's quite simple. He strides behind the teacher's desk and pulls something out underneath. My heart drops. 2 metal pipes, around 3 feet in length, rough around the edges. He rolls one to me. I automatically stoop down and pick it up. We'll take turns inflicting blows to our disciplinees. Good, solid blows that make a nice musical sound. The first discipliner who knocks out her and their disciplinee loses. The boy bawls at this point. Even the girl is shocked into silence. The first person to fall unconscious means a loss. Which means I have to inflict pain without the promise of comfort. If I want to win, or at least not lose, each blow needs to be felt by their conscious mind.
Or you could pretend, and they could pretend back because they know you're trying to help. Okay, whatever.
And in that moment, I'll be just like Ryota. Oh, don't give me that face, boy. Be glad I didn't pick the knife. I mean, I'm pretty tempted to. But then you'd probably lapse. That's just boring. Something like this needs to be remembered. So, are we ready to begin? No. No, I'm certainly not ready. I'll never be. I shift the pipe in my hand, feeling its weight. It's hefty, sturdy. Could easily break bones, probably shatter a skull. And it's in my hands. I'll go first. Watch and learn. He stands over the boy, gripping the pipe tightly in one hand, keeping the knife in the other. I watch transfixed, even while everything in my brain is screaming for me to turn away and close my eyes. The boy whimpers quietly, eyes wide, squirming about the crude ropes that bind him to his chair. Ryota smirks quietly at him and ruffles his hair. Not gonna lie to you, kid. This is gonna hurt like heck.
No.
Ryota raises the pipe, painstakingly slow, reveling in the drama of the moment. I might have laughed if the situation wasn't so sick. 3, 2, 1.
Oh no.
He whips the pipe down, but when it's just an inch away from the boy's kneecaps, he stops.
Psych!
boy releases a great, shuddering gasp, shoulders dropping in relief. Then, without a moment of hesitation, Ryota lifts the pipe and brings it down. Oh gosh! Crack goes bone against metal, and the air splits from the impact of a horrifying, agonized scream, punctuated by a shrill screech of metal as the base of the chair grinds against the ground from the force of the impact. Jeez. The boy is still screaming as Ryota steps back, an expression that I've never seen before dawning on his face. Beauty, true beauty, how poignant is your sting? He giggles quietly to himself as the boy writes against his chair, leg forced into an awkward angle. Dang it! This can't go on. I realize it quietly through the empty shock as my fingers tighten around the pipe. I can't let this go on. Is there a way to outthink the situation? Anything at all? When it's needed most, my mind fails me. Well, your turn, boy. 4 students, including me. 4 lives at stake. 2 thrust in the middle of terrible suffering. I originally came with the intention to just grab as much time as I possibly could. I thought I could prevent a death, maybe 2. But there's no sign of the police, not even the slightest indicator that they'll come at all. And now, death is looking like the best option. To buy time, I'd have to draw out this game, causing as much pain to this girl as she can bear, while the boy suffers beyond description. And if the police don't come, we'll still end up dead. I can crack this girl's skull, give her a merciful end, and then I lose, and Ryota unleashes his knife on the rest of us. Or if I move really fast, I can maybe put an end to both her and her brother, in which case it would only be down to Rui and me. No, Shigure said she would come. She swore she would come. She said, she promised, she told me. Stop dallying about, boy. We haven't got all day. I wish I could attack Ryota, but I'm pretty sure it's not what I'm supposed to. Let's look at the guide. Stall 4 times. Pipes, don't you think it's a little, I don't know, dated? Just because something is old-fashioned doesn't mean it's bad. I don't see what you mean. Sure you do. Never been an avid fan of change, have you? So you're saying that I'm stuck in my ways? We all have a neutral tempo. Nothing wrong with that. That's certainly a positive outlook. Rip. I know what you're trying to do, kid. Cut it out. Make your choice now. Okay. In a situation like this, it seems like everything. The only option is to go with the flow. Huh? I automatically step forward, knuckles turning white as I raise the pipe. Shigure said she would bring the police. Shigure needs me to buy time. Buying time means abiding by the game, drawing it out. Pain without mercy. Conscious damage.
Yama, please.
Close your eyes. The voice that comes from my mouth is cold and blank, nothing like my own. I keep my eyes open as I swing the pipe down, knowing that I only endangered the girl further if I closed them. I see the pipe descend. I see the girl's eyes widen. I see. The vibration rocks from the tip of the pipe up through my arms to my eyes, which rattle in their sockets. I feel the impact of her arm giving way beneath my own hands. Something in me, something I hadn't known was there, slinks away into the shadows, gone forever. The girl gasps for breath as her brother bursts into tears. No! A brother, a sister, doomed to die. I step back, hands shaking uncontrollably. Ryota only throws back his hand and laughs. Oh yes! Yes, that's it! I was worried for a moment, you know. Thinking that you'd fancy out. But you mean business right now, don't you? There must be something. Some other way. Some advantage. Something that doesn't involve this. I still myself, keeping my eyes fixed on the girl before me. Faking shock? Maybe. I can't say that I'm really faking. Meanwhile, I let my mind cast about the room, mentally recalling every sensory memory that it shelved away as I entered the classroom, searching for some miraculous solution. The door sprang open beneath my touch as I stepped into the classroom, my figure enveloped in this nighttime gloom. Ryota stormed behind me, letting every footstep vibrate through the floor, up the doorframe, into the foundations of the building itself. He was enjoying himself, maybe a little too much. He was waiting for this moment, I think. The students that he'd carved to pieces might have pleased him temporarily, but this night, this would be his magnum opus, and he'd want to relive it 1,000 times over. He grinned with confidence as he cupped his hands around his mouth. And the delinquent arrives at last! I shuffled further into the room, squinting into the darkness of the furthest corners, my breath shallow and my palms sweaty. In the meantime, Ryota pushed up his sleeves and tossed his keys and phone on top of his desk. That was when I saw Rui. Wait. Tossed his keys and phone on top of his desk. There was one thing that I'd overlooked, the mole in the police. No matter how quickly and secretly Shigure might act, there's still a high chance that she'll be found out. After all, it only took a few minutes for that mole to relay the news to Ryota. This time shouldn't be any different. Anytime now, a phone call could warn Ryota, tell him to get away. And that would be the end. It doesn't matter if I manage to distract him with this game. It's not like he'll ignore a phone call from his accomplice. In that case, I need to get rid of that phone. I have a pipe in my hands, and I'm just a step away from the desk. The main problem is breaking it without Ryota noticing. Or if he does notice, He won't think that I'm knowingly sabotaging him. Hello? Urtuyama Ishimoto? What, is this little too much for you? I... My voice catches and squeaks, which makes me sound exceedingly helpless. That's a good thing. Ryota giggles quietly, but his eyes are narrowed. This must be a little rough. Do you feel like you're hitting your poor sister? I wouldn't worry. She's already dead. You know that. I grip the pipe tighter, my knuckles whitening with pressure. The rough edges of the metal start to cut into the palm of my hand. I welcome the anger, the panic, the helplessness that's swirling through my veins, gathering it into one tangled ball of black emotion. Must still be sour for you, kid, no? Would you rather hit the little boy? Shut up!
Yama, please, don't listen to him.
Come to think of it, maybe you'd have some fun if you had the boy. You'd finally get an outlet for all that self-hatred.
Yama! He's just trying to get to you. You can fight it.
Shut up, you
Beach. With frightening speed, he bounds across the classroom and seizes Rui by the hair, yanking backward until her neck is at an unnatural angle. Image 0 not found. That's yeah, okay. We needed something funny to happen because that was very dramatic for a while. That's a dark stream. All right.
You know, I liked you at first, but now you're just a little yapping dog. I should slit right now, feed your esophagus to the brat over there.
He gestures to the boy who's fastened to the chair. Rui makes an instinctive whimper deep in her throat.
Do we have an understanding?
Yes.
Do we have an understanding, you...
Awesome. Yes!
Something locks in my brain, and all my emotions drain away until I feel like an empty automaton. You shouldn't have touched her. My vision blurs with rage as I raise the pipe with both hands, my arms shaking. Cold. Everything feels so cold. The edges of my lips pull up into an unbidden smile as a fleeting vision passes before my eyes. Ryota's body, battered and broken at my feet, waiting for me to make an imprint.
Okay.
I seize the vision, even as a deeper part of my mind shrinks away in horror. I let it control me. You shouldn't have touched Rui Hayata. I slammed the pipe down with as much force as possible. The metal pulses against the floor with an ear-splitting crack. Splinters of something white and shiny shoots away from the point of impact like a spray of bullets. The boy and the girl shrink back in their chairs, staring at me with wide eyes. It's irrelevant. Get away from her! I let my voice increase in volume. I let it shake. I let it steep with madness and fury. Ryota steps back inadvertently, not out of fear, but out of surprise. He almost seems pleased with my transformation.
Oh no.
I lunge forward, my voice exploding shrilly out of my throat. Going to wait for my brother not to be right there because he's going to hate screaming.
Oh, it's my mom. Okay. Well, I'm going to scream, mom. It's going to be loud. Angry. Je vais crier.
Pourquoi?
Parce que c'est dans le texte.
Oh non.
Okay. Get away! Get away from her! Oh my you! Yengi. He worried. I'm sorry. I start swinging the pipe madly, like an unbalanced marionette on a string, letting the end swivel into desks, chairs, walls, anything. I rush at Ryota, but he nimbly weaves between the desks and tightens the grip on his own pipe. Glad you liked it, I suppose. Yeah, my mom was there. I had told her about that. So she covered her ears. My brother was upstairs. He came downstairs very fast to know what the heck was happening. Why was I angry? No, it's just voice acting. My pipe passes within an inch of Rui's face as I whirl around, bowling in Ryota's direction towards the desk. I vaguely register a look of open horror from Rui, but I flick it away from my mind like a gnat. I lunge at Ryota with a full force blow, swinging down, letting out a vicious scream. And just as I was hoping, Ryota is startled by my sudden burst of energy and instinctively dodges to the side instead of blocking my blow. My pipe slices downward and splits the polished surface of the teacher's desk, sending shards of wood flying. The impact rattles up my arms and into my skull, but most importantly, I've hit Ryota's phone dead center. It shatters into the new pile of rubble, the resulting crackle masked by the destruction. I don't dare to take a pause. I can't celebrate the small victory. Instead, I let my anger fester and take hold of the pipe in my hands. I will hurt you right there, Ryota. I don't want to startle my brother again. I swing again at him, and he steps back, adjusting the grip on his pipe. He's getting ready to counterattack. The momentum in my arms carries my thing straight into the wall, sending the plaster cracking. I let loose a scream of frustration, something that rips my throat raw and ricochets against the broken wall. From the corner of my periphery, I can register Rui clasping her hands. Yama, please stop. Is that the best you've got, kid? You still haven't landed a single hit on this old man. I don't let myself think. I just swing the pipe unblinkingly at his head, knowing that it won't hit. And Ryota drops down, just as I suspect. His eyes widen with glee, and he swings his own pipe with one hand end.
My stomach suddenly lurches back against my spine with a piercing hammer of agony. I'm sent sprawling to the ground and Rui screaming faintly in my ears. Yella! And then the coldness, the numbness, the emptiness, it all melts away. And I suddenly feel weary, like every footstep is being pulled through mud. The bowl of pent up aggression in my gut is replaced with pounding soreness from the impact of Ryota's pipe. For a moment, I let myself lie there, splinters of wood and plaster prickling into my back. It would be so easy to just close my eyes and sleep. Let this whole world drift away. Get up, boy. Game's not over yet. Unless you mean to forfeit? Ah, that's right. I can't forfeit. Because there's other lives on the line. That's what I came here for. To help these other people. To save some lives. I start to push myself up, but my abdomen clenches in pain. I gracelessly fall back to the ground, my back stinging from the tiny daggers of fragments embedded into the ground. He looks crazy. He is crazy. He is evil. So, no forfeit? Pity. I turn onto my side and try again. This time I lean on the remains of the desk, cradling an arm against my aching stomach. Where was that energy from a split second ago? Why am I so suddenly why am I suddenly so tired? Hmm. I guess that I tend to charge ahead when I have a purpose, and without that purpose, I just run on a broken engine. I needed to break the phone. Now I've broken it. What's left? Wait? How long? When will Shigure come? Cute playboy! I see what you're trying to do. My veins fill with dread, and it takes every ounce of self-control for me to not cast a glance at the buried phone. Oh, unfortunately for you, noise isn't an issue. You can throw a tantrum all day and no one will hear a thing. The new curfew keeps kids in the court. No one's gonna take a stroll around the classrooms when they could be playing foosball in the common room. I don't have energy to respond. I don't even feel my face move. Gradually, the cold, welcoming emptiness in my mind is dissipating, replaced with the creeping sense of utter what? Something dark, black. Something that feels like it's squeezing my temples and smothering my nostrils until I can breathe. Well, that was an interesting intermission. Must be my turn again, no? He weights the pipe casually in his hands, like he's adjusting his hold on a baseball bat. Lifts it over his shoulder. I only register his words when he steps forward, settling closer to the boy's side. Suddenly, past the bolt of pain in my diaphragm, I'm screaming, "No!" Scream of pain! Okay. Ah! I automatically close my eyes at the moment of impact, but that doesn't make the crunch of his collapsing bone any less loud. Ryota struck the boy's hand this time. I keep my eyes off of it, scared at witnessing damage for myself. But judging from the boy's shocked stare, it's just as bad as it sounds. Please, don't hurt him. Oh, I wouldn't worry if I were you. You'll be getting your fair share of pain. He groans at this, loud and anguished, bubbling in her throat like a clot of stuff. Breaking the phone wasn't enough. There has to be more, something else I can do.
Hello. That's a very dark scene.
Are you enjoying this? A filler, as my mind scrambles for something more adequate. Why, yes, I am. Thanks for asking. And you you even enjoyed the previous students? They were alright. But this little show has been the best by far. It's like playing chess against a toddler versus playing chess against a rival. One just doesn't bring that satisfaction, that's a satisfying challenge. I can feel good about putting a checkmate on a little kid who's not even potty trained. He's becoming more talkative, taking his focus off of the game, even if it's just a little bit. I seize this with desperation. Maybe they were more of a challenge than you thought. I figured you out just from the clues that they dropped. At this bold claim, Ryota tilts his head like a broken doll. I see the deranged gears in his head picking up speeds ever so slowly. Because Ryota doesn't like games with only pain, suffering, injury. Ryota likes to think. Ryota is intelligent. Ryota would look for battle of wits just as readily. Even the spy game is a twisted mix of sadism and psychology, his mind clashing against mine, trying to make me succumb to his methods. Maybe there's a way to pique his interest and bring the floor back into balance. It's the last hope I have. You always were a sharp kid, weren't you? I had high expectations for you, but you've exceeded every one of them. You deserve a gold star. I hope you know that a gold star isn't exactly a great incentive at the moment. Oh, but I read that positive reinforcement is better than punishment, particularly when it comes to children. To be fair, I've always thought of it as a ruse. Punishment gets result. You just need to look at history to realize that. It's because of whips and taskmasters that the ancient pyramids and the great terracotta army were built. Meanwhile, what has modern humanity done? Skyscrapers? What beauty do those hold? They're glorified prisons, cages of metal and glass, meant to trap pathetic little animals. Is that what you consider success? Building something big? Some people just prefer happiness. Happiness, what a subjective measure for reality. Sorry. At least impressive structures are tangible. They are made of strong material, carved to loom above the common populace. When you look up, you realize the depth of man's insignificance. Happiness? What can measure happiness? How many smiles I send per day? Oh, let's not forget the first world dream. Living in a mansion with a Ferrari and thousands of servants. Hmm. Nothing brings happiness, but so much brings awe. This is just a meaningless stall of time, but I'll take it. He's starting to warm up, and weirdly enough, so am I. Maybe happiness is subjective, but awe, does it really bring fulfillment? Doesn't it? Haven't you ever stood on the precipice of a great chasm, and just thought, oh, I could just die happy at this moment? It's an unparalleled feeling in the world, child. You seem to be regarding me with skepticism. Then, pray tell, what is your opinion? What makes you happy in this foolish little world? What makes me happy? Something about the question seems to be a trap. Is he waiting for something to use against me? Is it time for another layer of psychological warfare? My friends, I could say. My friends make me happy. Then it point out how none of them were here. How I've endangered the only one who mattered. How friends are simply an arbitrary term for a circle of useless acquaintances. And all I would feel is despair. Then what else could I offer as an answer? Being alive? Being alive to do what? Feel and experience everything that life has to offer? Feel and experience everything? Then Ryota would say that if the gift of life is enough to bring happiness, then everyone should always be happy. The slave beneath a whip, the trafficked girl somewhere, the prisoner of war on a rack. And again, I would only feel despair. What makes me happy? What fuels me to get up in the morning and keep going? Altruism? Hardly. I think most people in the world are pretty stupid. Oh my gosh, that's dark! Love? Yeah, as if I'm a fountain of affection. What is there to fuel me? What makes me happy? Anything I think of, I know that Ryota can warp and use against me. He tried to break me with my own words. Oh, have I been caught? A shame we had to meet under these circumstances, child. Your mental faculties are truly impressive. Do you understand the theme of my lecture? I can't say I do. Will there be a study guide? You're already in the test, boy. I'm afraid it's too late. Simply put, he who has the most drive has the most strength, and he who has the most strength has the most power. Look at you. You can't even tell me what makes you happy. Whereas I gave a confident answer. Why do you suppose that you're so powerless while here I stand invincible? He even took my lack of answer and used it against me. I tried to tell myself that it was the right decision. Are you saying that you won? I'm just reporting facts. But even if I'm weaker, I can still beat you. I already beat you. Nobody was supposed to know that you were responsible for the eatings, the recent ones, or the independent ones. Ryota stops in his tracks, his eyes glinting. Well, whatever the independent eatings were, it looks like he really was the person behind them. It's a brother that I desperately says. I tried to cover my fatigue by flinging a challenging look in his direction. You've been busier than I thought. Doesn't seem to be too hard. People don't tend to expect much from me. But you've even made friends in high places, hmm? High places? This throws me for a loop. What does he mean by high places? I got that information from Natsuki, and she lives in a shabby apartment in District 6. No, I can't be distracted. I have to keep the conversation flowing. Make him lose track of time. Just how many people have you done this to? The Aztecs had this remarkable belief system. Would you like to hear it? I just asked a question. In order to appease the gods, to keep the universe running smoothly, they were to offer constant human sacrifices. Priests would rip out the hearts of prisoners of war while they were yet alive. Wow, that's so dark. If they slacked in performing this ritual, the kingdom as they knew it would fall to pieces. That's why you do this? To keep Isamu running? What kind of reason is that? Oh, what? Do you think I am the priest? His voice drops and takes on a tint of something unfamiliar. My spine tingles in apprehension. Okay. I am the priest, child. I am the god. I receive the offerings. I need not give them myself. This city must earn my goodwill, lest I paint the streets red with my vengeance. The ones who scorn me will be obliterated by the very words of their own mouth. Oh, dear child, you know nothing of the beauty of pure, unadulterated strength. I open my mouth, willing to a snarky remark to comfort, but there's nothing. My hands are shaking, tightened against my throbbing stomach. Oh boy. What kind of madness has seized this guy? I straighten and open my mouth wider, hoping that something will come out. Anything. If I don't say anything, if I don't distract him, even if it means I have to listen to more of his insanity. Your antics amuse me, boy, but our intermission must come to an end. We must return to our little game. Too late. The opportunity's been lost, and now I'm rattled, and I can't recover. In terms of psychological damage, he's won handily. I don't think it could have happened any other way. Like a puppet master overseeing a play, he has total control over every scene. Well, boy, it's your turn. What is your move? Oh boy. Um. Apparently, I need to stall. Okay. Oops. I. I can't keep hitting her. It's a pity that life doesn't change whether you can or can't do something. Why did that happen to you? Oh, are we having a little heart to heart? Okay, then something must have happened. Something that turned you pretty bitter. You'd love it if that were true, wouldn't you? Hurry up, clock sticking boy. Okay. I have no other option. I have to just follow along. My hands shake as I step closer, raising the pipe. Maybe I can get away with hitting softer? No, it's a dumb idea. I know it's a dumb idea. Ryota would immediately know, and then it'd make me hit her again. Can't close my eyes. Might accidentally make worse if my aim is off. So I keep them wide open until the air pulls tears out of them. Then I swing the pipe. Her arms hang limply over the edge of the chair, bent in an unusual angle that raises bile to my throat. How must she be feeling at this moment? How can she stand it? Held captive for no reason, every nerve screaming fire at her, begging her consciousness to fade, but finding no relief. How can she live through that kind of miserable existence? Say, kid, you're not looking too hot when I call in a sick day. I doubt that's an option, I want to say. Something unaffected and cynical. Something that keeps me safe from the mess of the world. Instead, my mouth opens to pull up a topic to divert the conversation. Divert. You said you did that for fun, essentially. Does that bother you? I assume it would bother most people. But if I remember correctly, the Aztecs, well, they did that to other strong warriors to transfer that strength to the sun. So, what made you turn on a bunch of helpless students? Even if I ask the question, the inner crevices of my mind whisper quietly. Is it worth it? Isn't this just prolonging an agonizing demise? But what other option is there? Come to think of it, earlier you mentioned being an executioner. Good observation, kid. Let's just say that it's no coincidence that all the victims are connected to the Ikari's son. How fun! You're about to join that number. This makes me falter. Of course, if Yahiko isn't the eater, but has a connection to every single victim, it has to bear significance. How could I have overlooked that? What... What do you even have against Yahiko? He's harmless. He's gentle. feels like a little kid in a broken world. Something so stupidly innocent that it's refreshing. I have nothing against Yahiko. You're asking the wrong question. He has nothing against Yahiko, but he is hurting people close to him. That's an incredibly drastic maneuver. Why would a serial eater suddenly focus his attention on someone like Yahiko? No matter how hard I think, the answer eludes me. But I can't falter. I can't let him remember to continue the game. Think! If I were Ryota, if I were some psychotic man who loved to hurt people, no, inflict extreme agony, then why would I do such a thing? What is Yahiko that I'm not? What does Yahiko have that I don't? Yahiko is arrogant, a dreamer, easily excitable, oblivious. No, these are personality traits. Think deeper. Motive. The Ikari's son. Ryota said before. The Ikaris. If it doesn't have to do with past history, they don't really know each other that well. After all, then is it because of money? If it doesn't have to do with past history, then they don't really know each other that well. After all, then is it because I'm so confused? Money, connections. Yahiko is the son of two higher ups at Lemniscate. If Ryota doesn't have anything against Yahiko, then could he have something against his parents? If you were aiming for Yahiko's parents, it seems a lot more effective to target the people around them. Still have that brain of yours, I see. Yes and no. Yes, since Yahiko is just an easy avenue to his parents. But targeting the people around the parents themselves? Instant suspicion. Not to mention artless and cliché. I thought you'd be smarter than that. A little thought bothers me. Why is he so open with this information? No, I don't have time to consider this. Right now I just have to accept it. Think more. I am Ryota. Even now I want to see Kool-Aid, to hear screams, to... No. Something is clashing. Students. Students aren't a challenge. They're too easy for me. The wretched pests. Their deaths are simple and insignificant. They'll be remembered for, what, a day? 2? Perhaps 5 years by their families. When do you mean 5 years? You don't forget your child? What? But eventually, they will fade into inconsequential nothingness because they are young and meaningless. What? Under tally in a long list of missing people. Whereas, if I could get my hands on a politician, or a world leader, or even a company executive. Mourning. Mourning for weeks, months, years, remembrance in history books. The man who handed the king, or the president, or the emperor. I shall make my mark on society forever, a beautiful thread filling up the space of an intricate tapestry. But instead, I've decided to do it with students, to capture insignificant little rodents, just to put pressure on the Ikari family. What a joke. Why am I even doing this? The Ikari family is threatening me? No, certainly my judgment would be more swift. I would care not about my own death as long as I could have them suffer first. Were they threatening me, I would see them in their rooms the next night with a knife in my hand and a grin on my face. Capital punishment would be insignificant. I would face the chopping block gladly in that case. Money? Perhaps someone is commissioning me with a monetary incentive? Tch, as if. I am paid in Kool-Aid. Currency is of little value to my psyche. If I really needed the pocket change, a few black market inquiries would do. Perhaps I need something money cannot buy. Something that only a certain commissioner has. And the only way to get it is to pressure the Ikaris, even if it means getting rid of rabbits. To do that, I started with someone only slightly related to Yahiko, Minori Maeno. They would not even notice. Yahiko may mourn, the compassionate imbecile, but to the Ikaris, it's just an insignificant disappearance. Then Toma Hayashi, who interacted with their son on a greater level in the orientation group that Yahiko led. That may raise some eyebrows and call for suspicion, but nothing that the Ikaris can prove. Next is Akane Tsukino, your friend of Shoji, who was close to Yahiko due to the Happy Club. Shoji himself followed thereafter. A spiral of people, with Yahiko Ikari as its center. The poor soul would not understand what was going on, but surely his parents would. And in return, I would receive something of enormous value, something that money cannot buy. Even if it means that I must sacrifice a portion of my dignity. Heh. Yama? You, Ryoda, are on someone else's payroll? You are a freelancer with a client? You are no artist. You have no satisfaction. How the mighty have fallen! Once a predator, feared by all, able to strike whenever and wherever he so pleased. Now a mindless guillotine with no will of its own. How great is your greed that you would betray your love of art for this! But oh, you fool! You've conquered dogs and rats! Silence. His voice teems of ice, and I feel his psyche writing in humiliation, and it's just so thrilling. When they screamed, how easy it must have been to forget! Just as a man can distract himself with symphonies, so can he distract himself with agony. But when you returned, when you lay your head on your pillow, you must have realized the bitterness of your own insignificance. Rabbits, pawns, your pest control. Do not test me, boy. But I'm caught up in the euphoria, a welcome distraction from the never-ending cycle of pain and panic that plagued me before. Selling your soul for delusion, a pittance. Do you ever wish to go back to happier times? A time where you were a shadow with a name? The independent eatings. Nothing is more fearsome than the unknown. The people who knew about them, were they terrified? Did they huddle in their beds every night, unable to sleep, thinking that they could be next? Did it stroke your ego, knowing that the one who held their fate in his hands was you? Or were those eatings also at the discretion of your employer? Were there further connections that the police simply could not deduce? Was that also a primeval commission? Ryota grits his teeth and digs his fingers into the nearest desk, but he doesn't say a word. Then I'm right. I'm right about everything. Here you are, the fearsome Cerberus, yet you're bound to a pathetic little leash. Caught up in corporate politics at that, where there's nothing but big wigs bickering like toddlers. What exactly do you need so badly? I can't imagine you'd be craving love or friendship. Give me a quick reminder, what else can money not buy? Respect, naturally good looks, peace of mind, or say an honest politician. Motives, Ryota. Motives are interesting things, aren't they? Everybody likes to think that their motive is special and unique, but in the end, they're all the same. Money, love, power. Which of those apply to you? Or do you still think that you're all that special? That you're something more than an empty little puppet dancing from the strings of someone's fingers? What a sick existence. What an agonizing, wonderfully meaningless existence. Yama, stop it! This is not winning! Rui's voice shocks me out of character, like a fish suddenly pulled out of water. I stand idly for a moment, my mind blank. Not winning, of course. I wanted to win over Ryota. I wanted it so badly that I even became Ryota, and I let myself stay as him, even though I despise him more than I've never despised anyone. But even that isn't winning, that's just losing. Because to become Ryota would just be to win the battle and lose the war. I'm already inflicting injury on innocent students with a metal pipe, just like Ryota would. If I lost my own mind. Cute, this slay kid. Real cute. He's smiling assuredly. Already recovered, his voice is calm, but I catch a note of tension that wasn't there before. I get the impression that I made a terrible mistake, and if I had proceeded, well, he would have snapped. What would happen if he snapped? Would we all look like these two students, bound to their chairs, broken, helpless, pleading for death? I shouldn't have tried. But what else should I have done? Just gone along with the status quo? Would that have resulted in anything different? Know what's interesting? You're still missing something, aren't you? You think you've read the whole book? You think you know how it ends? You think you know the whole pattern? But you're still blind. You see out of one eye, boy, but not the other. Missing part of the pattern? I don't understand. Think harder, boy. So the sequence of deaths has to do with Yahiko. So what? So what? The broken gear in the back of my mind slowly begins to churn forward. Right. All this revolve around Yahiko. Specifically, over time, those deaths have gotten closer and closer to their epicenter, almost like a whirlpool sucking in its surrounding, closer to Yahiko. Within the school, the closest people to Yahiko, oh, are me, Rui, and Masato, the inseparable gang that hangs out together, day in, day out, fleeting through life with a bunch of rambunctious high school shenanigans. Of course, that was why he'd instantly picked up the phone. That was why he'd been prepared for my call. That was why he'd kidnapped Rui. Because we were already the next ones on his list. No. Oh, that was quick. Congratulations. To be honest, boy, the Kurogane boy should be here too. But guess what? He goes to bed too early. Out like a light, doesn't answer his phone. I even prepared my whole excuse and everything. I suddenly feel so very tired, weighted down. My intellect is fraying away. I can feel my sanity bleeding out of my body. Just let it end. It was all planned from the very beginning. I can't keep holding out. I can't prolong this misery. I try to one up Ryota, and I only end up in a worse state than before, if that trend continues. My eyes drift aimlessly to the ground, the pipe swaying limply between my fingers. Kool-Aid, dripping quietly from the chairs, a small amount, a terrifyingly small amount given how much damage we inflicted. How much internal leak must there be? How much pain? Now I know Ryota's motive and history. So what? I'm still an accomplice, bit by bit wiping out the opportunities in the girl's life. The dream of playing on a sports team. The dream of being a pianist. The dream of marrying a normal guy and having normal kids. Shamelessly and brutally striking those dreams from existence with no method of recovery. She's someone who actually has opportunities in life, and they're being taken away by someone else. Ugh, the injustice of the world. You'd better be grateful than a patient man. A lesser being would have peeled your forearm in layers for your insolence. A mental image pulses in front of my eyelids, and I stumble backward, nausea surging into my throat. That's right, I'm just a kid trying to fight a seasoned serial eater. You usually don't season cereals. What was I thinking? I use my hands and push against the desk, shaky, trying to prop myself on my feet. I only collapse bonelessly to the ground, legs like gelatin. Okay. Can't continue this way. Not much longer. I see Kool-Aid on the edge of the pipe in my hands. Kool-Aid that's not there. Kool-Aid that I know isn't there. But Kool-Aid that still weeps down a metal and coats my hands. All is silence save for the strangled sobs of two injured children, two dying siblings side by side. I'm sorry. Sorry. I'm sorry. Well, guess it's my turn again. You know I'm really giving you an advantage here by going first. Now you'll always be one hit ahead. Please, let's just stop. He ignores my faint whisper and steps forward, adjusting his grip on the pipe. The boy whimpers, incomprehensible words spilling out of his mouth. Sorry, kids, but the world doesn't listen to begging, and neither will I. He swings the pipe with vindictive justice, perhaps a payback for my insolence. I flinch instinctively this time, barely missing the moment of impact. And then a chair screeching against the ground, piercing scream that rends the air, a light, sweet chuckle from a man who's lost his mind. As I force my eyes open, I catch an unfamiliar, pungent smell. Vomit, dripping from the boy's mouth, pooling over the sides of his chair to the floor below. My stomach turns over, my grip rattles against the pipe. Oh, yes! This is life, children! The beauty of pain has no substitute! I step forward, forcing words out of my dry mouth. We... we need to stop. I can't handle this. Ryoto swivels on me, the joy in his eyes immediately dissipating. We're just getting to the good part. You saying you're gonna forfeit? Quitters never prosper, boy. And you wonder why you've never prospered. I drop to my knees, harder than I intend. The shakiness of my limbs give my legs a solid blow against the ground. This is no longer an act. Groveling and showing vulnerability is not just another strategy anymore. I have no other way out, no other hope. Please don't do this. Do what? I can't find the words, so I only swing my hand around the room. Oh, all of this? The whole captivity thing? The game? The fun? I manage a nod. Then, will you lick my shoes? He stamps a foot in the puddle of the boy's vomit, shaking it teasingly at me. I don't make a move. I'm waiting. I open my mouth, fighting for words. Nothing comes. The vomit gleams on the sole of his shoe, mocking me. Rui makes an instinctive sound of distress, gripping her chair with whitened hands. Ugh. I stare at the shoe, willing myself to lean forward. I don't move. You see, boy, you're not ready to really beg. Well, I mean... Why? Because you're still clinging to your pride, pathetic as it is. Some part of you believes that you still have control over the situation. Some part of you believes that some miracle will bail you out. You are really ready to beg. If you really threw away your pride, you wouldn't be aiming for the limbs, no? When you hold that pipe, you would be aiming right at the skull. This is your only hope now, the only hope of all of you. The end. But sadly for you, I don't like to rush my executions. It's just such a waste. I shakily clamber to my feet, weighing my arms on the table to pull myself up. Uh, Pride, belief, control of the situation. Do I really have any of those things? Maybe he's right. Maybe if I really was hopeless, I would have already crushed Tus and resigned myself to a long, excruciating end. But here I stand with a pipe ready to hit again. Why? So, now that your little dramatic stint has ended, I believe it's time for your turn. Whoops.
I clicked a second time. Sorry, I'm nervous, I think. This is hard. Uh, still? So, you don't like to rush? I know your little tricks, boy, and I'm not in the mood to entertain them. I grip the pipe, arms shaking as I raise it over my shoulder. But aren't you stuck here forever? The fight, isn't it getting too tiring? Aren't you exhausted? You're not strong enough to face this. I shake my head and squeeze my eyes shut, trying to knock the voices out of my head. We can't do this, Yama! This is wrong, we can't! I swing the pipe. Ah! No, no! The pipe drops out of my shaking fingers. I lean heavily against the nearest desk, my knees too weak to support my weight. I can't. I can't do this. Oh, sure you can. You're doing great. Ryota lifts the pipe over the boy, whose face is coated in a mixture of sweat and tears, slicking his hair against his forehead. The boy's eyes slide to mine, begging silently, hating the day was born. Ryota sends an icy smirk with a sheen of madness, reminding me of my earlier behavior. Payback, he seems to be saying. But I do nothing. The note is raw this time, raw from an overused throat that's been screaming far more than it should. When it descends into silence, I can hear the breaths of the two students rattling in their lungs, shallow and anguished. Fluid is starting to trickle from their mouths slowly down the corner of their jaw and dripping onto their pristine uniforms. The end would be the far better option. How much time has passed? It feels like days.
stretched out and pushed against each other. Practically, I know that it can be more than a few hours. The sun hasn't started rising yet, but holding out for this long, and he seems like delaying the inevitable. And in the meantime, harming innocents along the way. This is agony. Why did it have to be you? Who? Be specific, boy. I thought, I wanted, I wished it wasn't you. Shape up and tell me. Ambiguity helps no one. You shouldn't have been the eater, Ryota. He was supposed to help me. He was supposed to get me through school, through drama, through life. Not this. Never this. Uh, I thought, I thought you were with us. Why, you feel betrayed? I thought, of all people, it wouldn't be you. Fortunately, that is a fallacy in your own thinking. But, but why? Why you? You know nothing, boy. Quit your dawdling. Think. I raise the pipe, but my grip falters as my eyes turn to the girl. She no longer has hate in her gaze. She doesn't even have the slightest hint of anguish. Everything is just empty. I whisper it again, that trivial excuse that does nothing to help the situation. Sorry. This time, though, she responds, quietly, moving nothing but her mouth. I know. And I swing the pipe. Jeez. The blow rebounds against my arms as the bone of her leg fractures beneath the hard metal. The resulting scream is just another repeat, another skip on a broken record player. I falter backward, the pipe rubbing my hands raw. It reminds me that every bent limb, every cry of pain, is all my own doing. No one held my arm, no one swung the pipe. Every blow was my choice. No one bears that blame but me. And I don't know if I can continue to hold on. There's no sign of sirens in the distance. No janitor making his rounds. Not even a student in sight. Just four teenagers and a serial eater with a knife. That. And one pipe. One solid pipe in my hands. I could say that I don't know what to do. I could say that I'm helpless. But it would be far more accurate to say that I know exactly what to do, and I'm just too scared to do it. What? No begging this time? Why? I'm almost disappointed. He strikes the boy again, a brutal blow that crushes his fingers. The boy retches as he screeches, choking on his own vomit. The wet, crumpled cough that results is far more painful to hear than any scream. It's the sound of a human who is slowly dying. Stop it, please, somehow. I step to the side of the girl, gripping the pipe so tightly that its rough patches begin to dig into my palms. I've gathered enough time. I've tried my best. The police aren't coming. In a situation where there should have been a way out, any way out, there is none. The only relief I can bring is by ending as many of these students as I can. I've heard so many times that taking a life changes you, that once you get the weight on your shoulders, you stop being human. What will happen? Will that happen in this case? Finishing this, turning me into a monster? I don't know. I just know that there are 3 innocent students here, and if I don't do something, they'll be stuck in this never ending cycle of agony. And it would have been better if they just died earlier. It would have been better if I just did that earlier. I don't want this. But is there any other choice? I just want everyone to be okay. I would think I need to do this, but the guide says I need to do that. But I falter. I stand stiffly, the pipe frozen in my hands. Should I just hit her without a, a bow and let the game continue? I can't just do that just to take the easy way out, but I don't think I can keep sustaining my sanity. If it would be easy, everything would be over. You don't need to bear this burden. This is what my mind is whispering to me, but I don't know whether to trust it or not. If I could see the ending, I would know. If we somehow end up getting out of this wouldn't be... Then wouldn't she be glad to be alive, even with those injuries? Because at least she had a second chance at life. This pain, this suffering, it'll hurt and it'll scar. But maybe she could find her dream career or marry a wonderful husband, something that just makes living worthwhile. But if we don't get out of this, if the only thing that's in store for us is an agonizing death against which we're fighting in futility, it would have been better if I just did it in the very first stroke. How can I make that judgment? How can I possibly predict that burden? Can I really choose to end this with my own hands? I can't see the ending. I don't understand fate. I wish I could know the answer, but there's nothing for me. No one can see the future. If you dwell any longer, kid, Louis gets the short end of the stick. Or the pipe, however you prefer to say it. No more time, no more chances. I've held out as long as I could. I raised the pipe over my head, aiming it directly in line with the girl's skull. She smiles tremulously in understanding and closes her eyes. Acceptance, perhaps even gratitude, because somehow we've landed in a situation where a quick end is merciful. What if I had been faster? What if I had been smarter? If I had caught Ryota before today, none of this would have happened. Why did I sit still in one place and allow this to happen? My arms shake as I will tend as I will them to descend. I can't hesitate. I need to strike decisively. If I don't, the result will be only unconsciousness and a splitting headache. And no clean end. This girl doesn't deserve to wake up again in this nightmare. No one does. And with that, I guess it's time to become what I hate. I raised the pipe even higher, counting softly in my head. 3. I'm sorry wasn't enough. 2. I'm sorry you had to face this. 1. Then, from outside the windows, light blasts into the classroom, followed by the shrill overtones of a megaphone. Jiro Ryota, stand down! You are surrounded! Release the students, or we will shoot you. Oh, okay. Am I hearing things? Is my mind so desperate for reprieve that it's throwing up whatever it can to stop my pipe? My eyes instinctively search for Rui's. Her expression is a mess, horror mixed with sorrow mixed with relief. It's real then. Shigure came. No. Wait, it's not over. We're still in this room with Ryota. 2 students are still in the very dangerous position where they might lose their lives. I glance at Ryota. He's frozen in shock, his hands automatically patting down his pockets, searching for his phone. The phone that had smashed to pieces with the metal pipe. It just solidifies my suspicions. He would have been notified if I hadn't managed to break that phone. While Ryota is still in shock, we have to run now. He'll chase us. He won't be able to stop himself from chasing us. I lock eyes with Rui, then jerk my head to the door. Thankfully, Ryota is still transfixed on the scene outside, mouth agape in disbelief. Rui quietly slides from her desk and slides along the wall. Painful inch by painful inch, she comes closer. Hey! I immediately seize her hand and we tear her off, running as fast as we can on shaky legs. We don't spare any words, we only shoot up the stairs, breaking onto the rooftop. The smart thing for Ryota to do would be staying right where he is, using the 2 remaining students as hostages to secure his escape. But he won't do that. He'll chase after us, furious, bounding anything out of his way to reach us in time. So at this moment, the best thing we can do is run. The air is bitingly cold. It blasts at our faces as I lead Rui to the edge without to break in stride. See the line that goes through this row of pots? Jump over the edge there. What? Jump! To her credit, she does, leaping over the low railing of the rooftop and plummeting to the ground below. Except, it's not the ground, but the school pool. The pool over which Yahiko, Masato, and I had stood last year with umbrellas in hand, testing if we could somehow fly with them. I had hated Yahiko for weeks after that moment. I never thought I would be grateful to have joined him. Rui lands safely with a splash and scrambles to side as fast as she can. I force myself to wait for a few agonizing moments for her to swim out of the way, then vault over the edge and... Oh no, you don't! An overpowering hand snatches my collar and yanks me back, crushing my windpipe against my jacket. I'm slammed against the ground of the rooftop, flat on my back. Ryota stands over me, knife loosely handled between his fingers, toying with the edge of my collar with the tip of his blade. His entire face is saturated in a terrifying mix of fury and ecstasy, something that sends chills down my spine. Cute. Really, boy, that was quite cute. He lifts me up and presses me against the railing, setting the flat of his blade against my cheek. No, No, it can't end this way. With a good-hearted soul ensuring the escape of her way before you jump. Someone like you needs a reward. He abruptly turns the knife until the edge rests lightly on my cheekbone. I flinch instinctively, which only broadens his grin. If you want to beg, boy, now would be the time to do it. Like a rat sprinting through a maze, searching for its only chance at exiting, my mind races for solution. Something, anything. No, 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 nothing! Wait. Do you not wish to play a bigger role in society than an inconsequential pawn in this game of life? Or will you restrict yourself to the confines of your own abilities just because of her? My one last chance is this, being vaguely specific. I look Ryota square in the eye, winning my voice to be steady with every last bit of my strength. She was disappointing in you. She was disappointed in you, wasn't she? The result is immediate. Ryota's grin drops, and the grip of his knife loosens just slightly. His eyes turn completely blank, unseeing. I know for certain that in his mind he's recalling a dark moment, a terrifying memory, something locked away that he'd never let himself know, let alone a stranger. Remembering tears of regret, whispered phrase, words that have haunted nightmares every day since they were uttered. I don't allow myself to dwell on the thought. Before I get a grasp on what I'm doing, I am already seizing the handle of Ryuta's knife and turning the blade. Oh! Shoving it with more force than I ever exerted in my life. Driving the tip right through his abdomen. His body jerks like a ragdoll, but not a word passes his lips. The only sound I hear is the squelch of tissue and organs against metal. That's dark! This entire episode was dark! For a moment, there's silence, broken only by the distant flare of police sirens. His grip loosens and his weight falls on my shoulder, driving my arm painfully against the railing. A ragged whisper drifts to my ears. Such is harlot Yama Ishimoto. We are a disappointment. Then, with sudden strength, he grips my shoulders and tumbles over the railing, pulling me with him. My stomach lurches at the terrifying grasp of gravity as we plummet to the school pool below. Falling from the rooftop, seized by a serial eater. This is what my existence has been. One struggle for life after another. A constant misstep, a wandering in the wrong direction. Now left with two innocent teenagers, broken and neaking. Wow. I'm very good at censoring. Their minds irreparable even if their bodies are not. A man once intelligent, once admirable, now driven mad. A knife fixed in his stomach. A clean and polished school, ruined forever by a legacy of hurt and pain and bad. And who knows how many lives shattered. The air tears at my face and clothes. screaming past my ears. Ryota's Kool-Aid flies from his wound, coating the front of my jacket. That's right. I point someone. We crashed into the pool with stinging force. The tendrils of Kool-Aid dispersed into the chlorinated water like spider silk. Ryota's iron grip on my shoulders loosens at the impact. Bubbles gurgle from his lips. Bubbles! Wow. Brushing past my face as they pop to the surface. I'm no longer holding the knife, but I still feel the form and weight of its handle between my fingers. This is what I've done. For a moment, I let myself drift in the freezing water. There's no point in swimming up to the surface, really. Wouldn't it be just easier to just drift away? Come back up to the world, and I'll face a long hospital trip, a court case, catching up on essays about second wave world civilizations, and worksheets on deriving trigonometric theorems. Take the exams, go to some university, major in something or another, get a white collar job, marry, have kids, die. All this after trashing another human being's system to a pulp, someone who might not recover physically and will never recover emotionally. Is there even a point? Existential nihilism, the belief that there's no meaning, no value, nothing to life. I vaguely remember being terrified of the notion when I first heard about it in class. Most students just laughed it off. How stupid, how depressing. Life has no purpose. Whoever made that up has issues. But it was too close to me. Living a life of homework, keeping my head down, and going through each day, wondering where I was and what I was doing. Maybe I've been trying too hard to find meaning where there is none. Maybe I've been desperately grasping for straws to find some kind of significance in an inconsequential existence. From a strictly technical point of view, this is not the time to be thinking philosophical thoughts. Being at the bottom of a pool, just an arm's reach away from a serial eater, probably with only 30 seconds left before I run out of breath and start drowning. Any sensible person would leave the Socrates session for another day and wait until basic needs are met first. Guess I'm not as sensible as I thought. Either that or I can't bring myself to be. You can lead a student to air, but you can't make him breathe. That's how the saying should go. Maybe I should just sleep. I suddenly feel so tired. I think I think I've been here before. That's right. This is a familiar road. There's a sign at an intersection, I think. It's rickety and rusted, worn from use. There's no words on it, just two arrows, one pointing forward, one pointing backward. I'd just like to stay here. A fork in the road is such a dangerous thing. Left, right, a one time decision. And if it turns out that you run into an obstacle, then you'll find yourself wishing that you made the other choice. then don't you start overthinking everything? What if I'd taken the other road? What if the other road was worse? What if there was another road? If only I'd looked harder. What if I hadn't taken a road at all? What if I'd gone backwards? Two roads diverged in a wood and I took the one less traveled by. And that has made all the difference. A poem written by Robert Frost, originally intended to be a simple teasing joke. A hint of playful satire at indecision. But people saw it as something else. Even though they weren't poets, they started adding their own kinds of verses to the composition. Independence, individualism, science, discovery, curiosity, free will, and the human condition. Poor Robert Frost. Suddenly, he had written an entirely different poem, even without touching his pen. Two roads diverged in the wood, and I Heavily medicated, doctor. Anytime he's coherent, he thrashes around. We have to sedate him every time. How long? 2 weeks. The record? Here, sir. I assume that when he screams for her, he's referring to the other patient? We think so, sir. But she's still recovering with therapy. We haven't been able to get her in here. What's her progress? She started speaking again after her parents came with the photo album. We're also hoping that the daily fresh air will help her walk. And how about her arm? Psychosomatic, like her legs. We'll be monitoring it over therapy. Good. She'll likely be our fastest ticket to his recovery. But it might be a while before Miss Hayata is able to... Rui? Ah! Mr. Shimoto, are you awake? Can you see me? Rui? Mr. Ishimoto, can you tell me... Where's Rui? Where did you take her? She's supposed to be here, safe! Hold him down! Show me Rui! My own 2 eyes! Yezepam! Give her back! Give her! Here comes a candle to light you to bed. Here comes the chopper to What? Chip chop, the last man's... Ah! Sometimes I really wonder about children's nursery rhymes. Why do we let young kids listen to such twisted ideologies? I don't know! Children aren't supposed to deal with that kind of stuff. They're supposed to be innocent. Supposed to be innocent. Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Jack fell down and... My world suddenly feels warm. What is that? Why is this happening? I suddenly get the impression that I'm awake. I think someone's holding my hand. The tips of my fingers feel warm, like they're being cradled in a loving palm. Everything else is blinding light that drills into the back of my eyes. Home. Home is here. Home. Finally got to visit you. I'm sorry for the wait. I had to go through therapy to start talking again. I know that the whole thing is over thanks to you, but whenever I close my eyes, well, I guess I'm really thankful that the doctors could help me. I just hope that it'll be the same for you. Well, I'll let you rest up. You need a lot of it. Oh, and this whole thing? Doctors say I'll be out of it in a week, and it's apparently all in my head. Honestly, though, a wheelchair's not all that bad. I kind of feel like royalty. You know how they had those, what are they called, sedans? And they got carried around all the time? I guess this feels like that. Oh, and Yama? I love... I... I... I love... laughing at your braids. So hurry up and get well, dummy! Okay. I dream a little longer. My dreams are softer now. A little more delicate, like lace instead of sandpaper.
Huh. I wanted to look at the picture a little.
I see a young kid grasping the hand of his older sister. In another world, that kid grows up to be more confident, more assured. He learns how to deal with bullies so that he won't bother his sister. He learns how to study hard and make friends and play soccer like all the other boys his age. He doesn't withdraw, lost in his room. He doesn't keep to himself on the playground. He's a happy young boy who turns into a happy teenager. He goes to the prestigious middle school in the area, the academy, to follow in his sister's footsteps. Because his family never left the city. His family never fled to a suburban little town 3 hours away from Isamu. His family stayed because in this other world there was never an event that had to do with a bus, a blizzard, a loose thread, a frozen river. So the young boy also stayed. Maybe he meets a lively orange-haired girl in this middle school. Maybe he befriends her because she's lovable and bright and impossible to dislike. Or maybe he doesn't. Maybe he falls with a different crowd. A sea of faces that play soccer and grab ramen on snowy days and study in the library when it's raining. Either way, he flourishes, loves his life, maybe dates once or twice. He studies hard for the college entrance exams, and he passes with flying colors in this other world. He makes it into the university of his dreams. He studies something that he loves, graduates, finds a girl, get married. Maybe she has orange hair, maybe she doesn't. He finds a hot job, has kids, smiles like an idiot when his daughter wraps her fingers around his pinky. He'll name her after his sister, the one who's alive and well, who married a decent guy and has kids of her own. Then that boy who turned into a teenager, who turned into a man, will wake up one day and he'll be happy. He'll be whole and he'll be wondering if this was all there was to life. My eyes peel open sluggishly, like they haven't done so for a decade. My muscles feel weak and lifeless. Splendid slugs on the sidewalk, my throat's dry and my head is smarting. So, looks like I'm in the hospital. I'm in the hospital. I notice that the nurse is at my bedside, fiddling with the IV drip on the table. She seems tired, brown eyes, tight frown. I clear my throat to get her attention. Excuse me. The words eject in a queasy croak. The nurse jumps at the raw noise, but relaxes when she notices me. Oh, wonderful, you're awake! Her voice is chipper, but I notice how she eyes me with caution, like I'll lunge out of bed and strangle her if she makes any sudden move. Do you remember your name? Yama Ishimoto. Good. Do you remember how you got here? By ambulance, I'd assume. Wow! Bravo, Yama. I wheeze in a dry laughter. Everything seems funny. The nurse eyes me for a minute, then presses the intercom. Doctor, the patient's awake. Can you speak with him? They give me a basic physical exam, followed by a psychological inventory. I give all the answers I think are correct and expect an imminent release. I'm ready to get back to my life. Instead, they take me to a room with a plush couch and a contemporary lamp, where a man sits in an armchair and tries to get me to talk about my life. Therapy. I've been through this too many times. It's gotten quite old over the years. I'm so familiar with the proceedings that I resign myself to playing mind games with the therapist. Can I predict before he asks? Can I redirect his questions? But it's not such a smooth and humorous process. Therapy makes me recall everything. Breaking limbs with a pipe with my own two hands, driving myself insane, stabbing, hurting someone in the gut. During the first session, I black out. They tell me later that I crumbled into a ball and refused to respond to anything until Rui came. Rui, now out of her wheelchair. You've been in the hospital for 2 months, she said. Rui holds my hand in the next session. I squeeze it until I'm afraid that I'll snap her fingers, just like I heard those bones. She whispers, "You're innocent. Don't you worry. It was only Ryodel's fault. You're a victim." I still feel Kool-Aid on my hands whenever the sessions are over. I go to the bathroom to wash my hands. Once, twice, 5 times over. It still runs slick and steady over my wrists and into my forearms when I exit the bathroom. I stop speaking for a few days. There's nothing to talk about. I have too many sounds to remember. Too much cacophony thrumming in the space between my ears. Rui sits by me, feeds me when I have no strength to lift the spoon, pulls the covers up to my chin like my mom should have done. She tells me stories. A princess in the night, a detective and a bar singer, a celebrity and an unfortunate grocer. Some days I just sit and hold her hand, watching her eyes dance as she paints imaginary canvases with her words. Speaking so much tires her out quickly. Sometimes she nods off in the middle of a sentence, so I lean her head on my shoulder and listen to the even rhythm of her breath. It's softer than the discordant in my brain. Sometimes it lulls me to sleep too. Then comes the session where I remember everything, every last bit, and I lose consciousness again. They said that they found me standing on the hospital rooftop, leaning against the banister with my arms spread wide, as if I was welcoming the city into my warm embrace. They instantly rushed me down, terrified that I tried to jump off. "Calm down," I said. My smile was distant. "I was just enjoying the view." They didn't believe me, so I'm confined in my room for a while. No one is allowed to see me except Rui, not even my own parents. They say it's because I didn't react well to their presence when I was delirious. So, like the beast with his beauty, I'm holed up in a hospital room, counting the days until I can pass a psychological inventory. Rui brings gifts from the others, envelopes and gift-wrapped boxes, and overly large bags that could have only been funded by Yahiko's purse. They're nice, and the thought is touching, but I tell Rui to return them all. I plan on staying here, keeping the Kool-Aid in my hands in one room. Rui cries every time, a breaking, frustrated kind of crying, as she punches me in the shoulder and yells that it's not my fault, it's Ryota's. Why can't I get that through my head? But even if my brain agrees, my hands remember the scratchiness of the pipe, the vibration of each terrible impact, the oozing, sinking feeling of a knife sinking into flesh. So I can so I only can kiss her on the forehead and thank her for staying with me. She doesn't blush. She doesn't even look remotely embarrassed. In fact, I think that the gesture only makes her angrier.
We're gonna make you well, Yama! She screams this out the window like some kind of oath. You're gonna be just fine!
I attend more sessions. Stay isolated from family and friends. My parents pay for the sessions, but I see nothing more of them. Legally, they're allowed to see me, but they don't exist. They don't insist. They probably don't really want to see me anyway. They haven't for years. More days slip by. I wonder if our friends have moved on with their lives, gone back to school, prepared for the university exams, started dating. When I start speaking again, I ask Rui how long we've been at the hospital. 2 months and 2 weeks, she says. Is that it? Feels so much longer. I continue sessions, go for walks, eat hospital food. I think I start to heal because the world feels a little less empty with each passing day. It's not my fault. I decide to say this to the mirror every morning, even if I don't believe it. Maybe if I say enough, maybe if I say it enough, maybe if I raise my chin and put my hands on my hips, maybe if I act like I believe it, then I'll believe it. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. I stare into my reflection, meaningless words pouring from my lips. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the most broken of them all? It seems to whisper back. Broken you may be, young man, but I see one broken more still. Someone with nothing but Kool-Aid in his eyes and no person to love. Someone who fell into darkness until one day, to ease his pain, he had suddenly become a serial eater. Mirror, mirror, couldn't I have become that man myself? In another world, a boy damaged by an accident, growing up alone and reserved, with nothing but the shadows as his constant companion. That boy could grow into a twisted teenager, who could grow into a twisted man. But I think I understand. None of that happened. What more do I need to worry about? Maybe I disfigured an innocent student. Maybe I oofed a human being. Maybe I took part in a nightmare that never should have been dreamt. But in this world, in these circumstances, I'm not a twisted, lonely little boy. I grew up showered with love, surrounded by friends, given an ordinary school life. The me standing here and now wouldn't voluntarily lift a pipe or a knife to hurt someone without purpose. Because I'm not anyone else. Eventually, I stopped talking to my reflection. I stopped washing my hands every half hour. I feel at peace, I think. At the very least, I stopped blacking out. Rui says that it's been 3 months since our hospitalization. Isamu's now deep in the hold of summer with a blazing July sun and humid forest wind. School is probably back in session. It doesn't stop us from receiving gifts, cards, letters, candy. Rui gets swamped by them, of course, surprisingly. Even I receive a few. This time I return them for a different reason. Not because I plan on cutting off outer contact, but because I plan on seeing them in person. The both of us go through more psychology tests. This time they seem happier with our responses because they finally open the doors. I don't expect visitors, to be honest. Although I'm no longer bedridden after taking walks around the hospital wing, I expect that the others have gone on with their lives. 3 months is a long time in the hurried pace of a student. But to my surprise, the moment that the hospital lifts my quarantine, two figures race into the room in a blur. Minion! It's Yahiko and Masato, dressed in their school uniforms. They're practically bursting with energy. For some reason, seeing them brings tears to my eyes. Embarrassed, I turn away. Dude, these past months have felt like forever! I can't believe that this happened. I can still remember you didn't come to school the other day, and no one knew where you were, and Rui wasn't talking about you. Then suddenly, no one could find Rui, and no one could find you, and... A hint of his mask comes crumbling down. For the first time, I see Yahiko's face twist in true pain. I was thinking that you guys been gone, just like Haru, Shoji, Akane. He grits his teeth, shuddering. All I can do is awkwardly pat him on the shoulder. I've always known that each of Mr. Ryota's victims were connected to Yahiko, but for some reason I never actually considered what that did to Yahiko. It's amazing, really. How could Yahiko even stay standing? How could he still smile, still laugh, even as people he knew were dying? I'd always thought of him as kind of weak and more than kind of stupid, but it looks like he was actually stronger than any of us. He was even right there at the scene of Shoji's death. Saw him die with his own eyes. At the time, the scene looked suspicious, but now that I think about it, wasn't Yahiko just trying to prevent his death? Wasn't that why I had found Shoji in the river? I almost want to ask about it, but something tells me that Yahiko's had enough. Well, I'm okay apparently. Yahiko stills, his mouth turning up into a forced smile. Yeah, I guess so. But still, I didn't do anything. What could you do? You didn't even know where we were. Yahiko's eyes shift to the side and he clears his throat. Masato's eyebrows tighten slightly, but he says nothing. Actually, Shigure called us. What? Well, I mean, technically, I guess it was after the fact, but still. We needed to know why you were hospitalized, so we kinda just piled on a bunch of questions. She explained everything, the cases, your investigation. She said we deserved to know. Shigure told them? Why would Shigure tell them? It simply doesn't make sense. At the very least, she would be wasting her time. Beyond that, she'd be spilling confidential info with no clear purpose.
My gosh, it's so late. This game never ends.
So well, we told Akira and Misaki, since Akira's the best friend of Rui and Misaki knows you both. And Elizabeth ended up overhearing, and apparently Shigure had told Airi. We visited you a few times, but you were either knocked out or you started thrashing around, and then they kicked us out entirely. So that's why they stayed so worried. That's why they were so persistent with the gifts. Guess it's not every day that one of your friends tries to fight a serial eater. A smile of gratitude tugs at my lips, and I feel a little warmer inside. They really cared a lot about for us, didn't they? Thanks, Yahiko. Yahiko only nods mutely. I glance at Masato, only to find that he's still stewing. Come to think of it, he hasn't said a word. Masato? Dang it! Yahiko and I jump at Masato's sudden exclamation. Kiss... Quoi? I'm a second full dumber! What does that mean? You know what? Enough. This is too long. We'll find out later what the heck that means. That means nothing at all. Okay, well, thank you, Haru. Thank you, Scarter. Thank you, Reese. Thank you, Scary Monster. Thank you, Metallian. And thank you, Trem Jack, for watching and hanging out with me. I will try to finish this game the next time I play. Like, it cannot be much longer anymore. Like, we've been the conclusion for 3 hours. So, check it out. Next time we play, we're going to play for 15 minutes. Yeah. It should be less dramatic next time we play this because the bad part is over now. So we're going to have more fun that next time. So I hope we all will have a lot of fun. And I hope I get to see you again another time. Bye bye. Thank you for watching.